Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Changing the Climate, a show where we talk about the changing world around us and how we can make it better. Brought to you by Climate Change Realty. The only real estate brokerage that donates 50% of its net commissions to 501c3 nonprofit organizations dedicated to fighting climate change. Terri, great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for being here. I'm excited to get into what you're doing. It's very unique. I don't think a lot of people have heard of your organization, so I'm excited to share it with my audience.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to be on your podcast today. I'm very excited to be here as well. Thank you.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. And we always like to get the show started with a little bit of background on who you are and how you got to be doing what you're doing at the current moment.
My name is Terri Mickelsen. I am the CEO of Clean Energy Credit Union, and I've been working in credit unions since '86. Started very young, almost a toddler, but a little bit older than that. I started as a what they call at that time a temporary Kelly girl, and was just really excited about a credit union. I hadn't really, heard of them before, and learned about them, and it was just so much energy at that time. I was at a university credit union. Cool. And started working as a teller and started moving up throughout the organization as it grew. It was a really fun time. I like helping people, and I think that's what drew me to this type of work, is that you get that connection with people. You help them with something that's very personal to them, which is their finances. And so learning that throughout my career, I worked at one credit union that had branches at Indian Pueblos. And so I got to learn a little bit about the different types of, finances and the different types of needs people have in parts of the country that you wouldn't think of. The Pueblos are very cash society, but it was very interesting working in New Mexico in Gallup and in Zuni and in Pine Hill and such. And then I also worked for a credit union that did military, mostly military employees. So it was just kind of interesting meeting people, different backgrounds, and they just have different financial needs. And now, as I continue to move up in my career, I wanted to do something a little more. I've always been big on volunteering, worked with United Way and their agencies for a long time, and just, volunteered here and there for different organizations. And I wanted to take it a step further, and I was like, I really want to get into the nonprofit world, and worked for the New Mexico Center on Law and Poverty for a while before coming to Clean Energy Credit Union. And I saw this as an opportunity to mesh my love of helping people with the credit union and helping and feeling good about what I'm doing. So I was like, the climate and the environment, and I could, be a part of that. And it just was everything I wanted to do. And this was a brand new startup. I've never done that before. It was a lot of work, but it was very good.
Yeah. And here you are as the CEO. Are you from New Mexico originally?
I was born in the Bay Area, and but I grew up in New Mexico. Most of my time was spent in New Mexico.
Very cool. So you've always been working for credit unions, is that correct?
I have always worked for credit unions, so different ones, but they all have their, it was, I love what we do. And they always say people helping people. And that is what really connected with me. I've worked in about every different area of a credit union, call centers, branches, electronic banking. I was there when we were first ATMs and Check 21 started, and through 9/11 when we had, to really change what we do. And one thing I loved about what we're doing is that we're online only.
Wow.
We have no branches. We do not want to increase the footprint because there's so many ways that people can bank now. There's no need to build another branch and spend, our members' money to build a branch and then put electricity in it and put people in it. We can then spend money on other items like making our technology better and reducing our fees and reducing the cost of the systems that we're putting in for clean energy.
Definitely. And we're going to go deep on what is Clean Energy Union shortly, but can we explain do you know when the first credit union was formed and where it came? It's not exactly an old institutional way of doing financing and banking, is it?
Actually, they're back from I have to remember my credit union is like in the 1800s. They start in Germany, and it
Oh,
was for
really? Okay,
farmers.
that long.
And we're credit unions are a co-op,
Yeah.
so
What's a
people
co-op?
pool their money to help other people. So that's kind of what we do, is that we pool your deposits and then we help someone else fund a system. And that's what credit unions were built on, is they started with, I think, with farmers, and they've gone on to, of course, different types of, mostly they were employer based, but they're are community based.
So how does it differ from like a traditional bank?
We
Just a
have,
credit union in general.
well, I'll tell you, starting one, it was really different because you don't have investors.
Well,
If I want to start a bank, you'd have people who invest money. You pay your board of directors. So you have lots of people who want to, do that. But at a credit union, we are built on donations, and then our board of directors are all volunteers. So they give their time to us to help us out. So that's a lot. That's the biggest difference, and that people with the credit union, you are a member of a credit union, and you are kind of one member, one vote. You have a vote in what we do, and you have a say in part of us as well. So you are kind of an owner of our credit union as well.
so if like the credit union say charges a fee on an account and makes profit, what happens with that funding?
That money goes back into the credit union to pay our employees, to pay for, online banking. It's expensive. And
Yeah.
everyone knows everything's expensive, but you know, you use your ATM card, or you go to online banking, or we want to put on a new LOS system, or we have to keep up with compliance. Um, it costs money, and that's what we put our money back into. And then we also want to add additional services so our members can have different types of loans, and we want to keep our costs down as much as possible. So when we get money back in, we're like, well, what can we do? Well, we can maybe lower our fees, or we can, and we're about to do that as well, and we can lower the rates, so people can afford a new system or a new car.
Right. So if I'm understanding this correctly, credit union of the people for the people, bank of the investors for the investors. Is that
That is
right?
correct. It's a good way to sum it up.
Yeah, that's what I took away from it. So what do you think makes one institution more successful than the other? I suppose a credit union, the more you can give back to the people, the more successful it is, whereas a bank, the more money they can make, the more successful they are. It's kind of on two different sliding scales, you know?
Yeah, that is correct. Credit unions have grown, since I started, and we're a lot. People are starting to understand that it's something they want to belong to, and not every credit union is the same. We're all different. Some are based on a employer, and some are based on a community. Some are based on state charters. So there's so many different credit unions, and we all work with different types of people. So depending on what your values are and you know what you want to belong to, you can go and find a credit union near you. Probably.
Cool. Well, Terry, thanks for giving that background on credit unions. Just wanted to get that out in the beginning before we kind of start diving deep into what is Clean Energy Credit Union, why was it founded, what's the mission, like all that kind of stuff.
Well, Clean Energy Credit Union is a credit union that only funds clean energy projects. That's our lending side. And when people come to make deposits at our credit union, those deposits are helping fund those projects. We were chartered in 2017, and we started doing business in 2018. So we're a fairly new credit union. Our organizing committee are we're built from a group of people who own solar companies, or who are interested in clean energy or the environment. And they were trying to find financing for these projects. These solar lenders at that time were charging anywhere between maybe 12 to 24% interest, and they would roll these, and they would have to roll them into something called dealer fees for those solar systems or whatever clean energy systems they're using. So then the systems became more expensive, and they were having to charge more for those systems. So they were looking for something else that would help reduce those costs and keep these dealer fees out and help people afford clean energy products. So that's really why they came together. So they're self-proclaimed clean energy geeks that put our credit union together and really wanted to challenge other financial institutions to do the same. We help other credit unions with clean energy lending. We either participate our loans out to show them that, you can do this. This is a good area to get into because we want it to be cheaper. We want the loan rates to go down lower than what they are and help people be able to finance those projects.
So what are like the primary services that are offered by a clean energy credit union? I guess there's a lot on the business side for clean energy projects, and then the actual individual consumers are the ones who are funding those loans. Is that right?
Well, we do residential solar systems, geothermal systems, any other clean energy project. If you're looking to make your house more energy efficient, we'll help you with windows and doors, insulation, whatever it's going to take. And those are for consumers at this time. We're not doing any kind of commercial lending.
Okay.
We hope to in the future. But right now, that's what we're doing. And then people make deposits into their savings accounts or certificates, IRAs, and we just started checking accounts last year as well. So we are funding those by people's deposits.
So if someone wanted to get more, I'm not sure what the word is, that keeps the heat in windows, you would actually offer them a loan product to do
they're
something like that?
Energy Smart. Yes, we do have loans for those.
Really? Oh, wow, that's really cool. And then how do you define clean energy at the credit union? Where do you kind of draw the line? Is it specifically related to CO2 emissions, or is there some sort of standard you have for that?
Well, we do, of course, solar, geothermal. We're looking for things that are going to, help the environment or save people money on their energy costs. So the more that we save you on your energy costs, the less you have to use. And so that would be considered a clean energy project. We do use the, oh my God, what did I just say? The
Energy Smart.
Energy Smart as part of, like, for the windows and doors and things like that. They have to have a certain grade to them. And so we're looking at that carbon offset, and we do measure what we do, not just so much in the dollars that we have, but by, our carbon offsets as well.
How have you seen like the adoption of this go? I guess you said you started in 2017. What has the growth been like? What's like your advertising? Who's usually like utilizing these products?
We've done almost no advertising. We were like, we were talking about, we really want to crawl before we walk, before we run. We want to start out. We've been busy. We haven't really needed the advertising yet. Maybe in the future. But we were lucky enough to have enough people that knew about us, and they're spreading the word. And a lot, I talk to people on the phone, and when you call us, you're not going to just get, some of our lovely member service people on the phone or our loan officers. I answer the phone still because I love talking to people, as you will see. But it's so much fun. I love what I do. So I talk to people on the phone. I was talking to someone today, telling them about what we're doing. They're like, "Hey, I heard about you. I called another place, and they said, 'Hey, you have to check out this credit union.'" So, I talked with them on the phone for a while, and that is kind of how, we're getting a lot of really momentum, is people are talking about us to their friends, to their family. Some of the contractors are talking to us, to, their clients. So that's been very helpful to us.
So I think a lot of people, when specifically, of course, in real estate, when they're going for a loan provider, they're going to be looking for the lowest rate. They're always looking for the lowest rate, the best service. Can you kind of explain a bit why it matters where you're getting your loans from?
Well, just like, people want to align themselves with companies that are, that have their same values. And when you go to a financial institution that is backing, big oil and those types of projects, I mean, is that your what you value? And us as consumers, we have choices that we make every day on everything that we do, from the clothes that we buy to, things on our refrigerator. But, at your financial institution, you also can choose. And what do you want to have your money invested in? When you make a deposit into your account, where is those funds going? When you're paying interest on your loan, where is that money going back to?
Yeah, I mean, it's something a lot of people have the privilege to consider in Boulder, Colorado, at least, for sure. So I hope we get the word out with this podcast. Are there
I hope so too.
Yeah, are there any other credit unions? You guys are completely fossil fuel free, right?
We do not do any investments in fossil fuel companies, no. And then on the other side, how we're, there's other, most financial institute or credit unions are not really do investments to big oil. I mean, that's not something that we do. We usually, we have very limited investments that we have. So you'll see a lot of credit unions on the fossil fuel free websites when you look at them. One thing that differentiates clean energy is that we're also looking at on the other side on what your money is going to. So, we're not going to finance your 1970, Mustang car, but your, Tesla or your Leaf will help you out. We do mostly EV cars. We have a few hybrids that we do, but mostly EV cars are what we're financing on that side, and everything else has to do with solar or geothermal.
Can you explain a bit how the service that you're providing actually can help bring the price of clean energy down?
It does with more competition. When you go out and you're offering a product, and our fees, we have no dealer fees, which is not something that most of the solar financing companies do. But when you bring down the fees and there's now competition, they have somewhere else to go to, you'll see other people following suit. So other financiers are going to start seeing this as we have been expanding the solar lending and working with groups to help teach other credit unions how to lend in this area. You're going to start driving more and more competition, and that's why you see car loans so low. Oh my God, car loans so low is because there's so much competition out there for those same loans. So that's what we're hoping to build on the clean energy side.
And as far as like large traditional banks, do you have any information about, I mean, they're all just lending to fossil fuel companies? And I guess some of them, is there like a trend of them kind of divesting from these projects? Are any of them doing anything similar to your institution at all?
I do. I know there is a climate bank that has started, and so I think that some of the financial institutions are out there looking at this type of lending and this type of value driven organization. I know that they do put reports out on banks that are investing in fossil fuels. And they said it was like $450 million in bonds and loans were done in 2021 alone. So they're out there. People just need to be aware and just do some research on them so they know, if where you're banking, what is your money going towards.
Right. So if someone was, say, I don't know, I don't know what kind of example I want to give. What like other incentives does someone have to come bank with Clean Energy Credit Union? Like if I didn't need a loan, you said you just opened the checking account how long ago? Just now.
It was our checking accounts were we'd started them last summer.
Okay.
So they're fairly new. And
what other products?
We have IRAs, we have certificates of deposit and savings accounts, and most of the transactions that you can do at a normal financial institution you'll find here at Clean Energy.
Very cool. Good to know. Any changes that you see coming in the next decade as far as like the banking industry goes? Do you expect more people to start adopting policies like at your own institution?
I already see it. I mean, it's they're seeing that this is an important area. And we're hoping that our administration follows suit and realizes that we need more and more clean energy coming in to help our climate. And as that continues to be a idea, I mean, you look at, you're out in Boulder, the things that are happening now that we haven't seen in our lifetimes. It's scary. And as these type of climate, disasters
Phenomena.
happen, you're going to see more and more people looking at what ways can we help, what ways can we divest, and what ways can we really bring in more clean energy, get rid of the oil, help our climate. And more financial institutions will start looking at this area. And as people, I mean, every day you can make a difference by making a choice. And it's not just where you bank, but composting and doing things for the environment, and riding your bike and doing what you can.
Yeah, composting is a big one. I'm glad that you bring that up. People don't realize like how big a deal that is. Like it can really
It's
turn into new
huge.
food. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm a big composter and a recycling. I always got around my house. I'm in the recycling ninja. I can see a can going into my garbage can from like 20 feet away. But it's something that I think everyone needs to just be aware of. And it's the little things that all add up. And everyone's like, oh, it's just one thing, but it's not just one thing. If everyone thinks it's just one, then where are we going to be?
Yeah. Well, I think who you bank with is actually a really big deal. And like unfortunately, I was really big into finance when I was younger. I'm still pretty young, but like in college, I got really into like finance and building wealth. And there's this thing called like credit card churning, where you get all the best credit cards and then get all the points. And I have all these Chase credit cards, and now I read the statement that said Chase is like the number one funder of fossil fuel projects. So I'm like, but then it's like if I close my Chase credit cards, my score goes down. So there's all these little compromises that you have to make. It's like, how far do you want to take it? Like I'm the climate change realtor. I'm dedicating my whole career to this thing. I want to be as good as I can be, but I also need my line of credit or else I'm screwed, especially as a
Yep.
startup company. So it's just something to consider. Off the top of your head, any like really cool projects that you funded that you have seen go through? Is like you said, it's all just like small, they're like smaller loans for individuals typically?
They're all individual loans. Even though we did get to, we have partnered with Organic Valley, and we did fund our first Organic Valley, farm loan. We have a couple other farm loans that we have done, but those are exciting. I'm hoping that someday to do some community gardens and some more community type of solar. But those have been some of the pretty interesting ones. Out in Maine, they had these solar sheds that they were doing that I thought it was like their tackle sheds and their solar all in one. And so the fun part is being kind of on this, looking at all these different projects that our people are putting in, and then hearing back from them and saying, "Oh my God, I love my solar system. We're really saving money." People that are living off grid, doing those off grid solar systems are really, I never thought I could live out in the middle of of wherever
Oh
and be
wow.
able to, produce my own energy, and becoming that energy independent is just a piece of it as well. And our next phase is we want to make solar and clean energy affordable for everyone, not just people here, people there, but people. Some people can't, really need to become energy independent to help them manage their costs. And especially with everything going up so high now, we want to see that as our next leap. And we're going to be working on some LMI, low to moderate income type of financing, and partnering with some foundations to help them with that 26% tax credit that some people get and other people don't get because they don't make enough money, because it's not so much like a child tax credit. It is a credit that you get if you have to pay in taxes. So we want to help more people be able to afford clean energy. So we're now going to start working with foundations and such to move it to that next step.
Wow. I didn't realize even before we had spoken a couple times before this, how truly mission driven your organization is. It's pretty amazing. And it's all nationwide and fully remote. You just mentioned a project that you did in Maine. So anyone
Yeah.
around the country can use your service.
Yeah, we are nationwide, and we've had a few out in Hawaii, some up in Maine, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. So far, no takers up in South Dakota. Yeah. Some places are more, solar friendly, but we do some other systems, and we're hoping that, we'll get a little our niche everywhere out there. But yeah, it's fun to talk with people from all over the country. I really enjoy it.
I mean, as do I. And when you say farm loan, is that specifically like you're funding a solar project, or would you actually be open to funding like a regenerative agriculture venture as well?
Yeah, we've done just a few ag loans, and those are for, because of the farmers that own their own property. And farms actually, I mean, they do use a lot of energy. So
Okay.
helping them out and helping them keep their costs down then helps us when you put that food on your table to keep your costs down. So anything that we could do to help along that supply line will be great.
So when you're like looking at someone to potentially give them a loan, are you qualifying like their carbon footprint and their like eligibility to repay? Like, is that going in that factor is going into every single transaction?
Most people, we do look at their eligibility to pay. We don't want them to get into something that they can't afford.
Totally.
And we do look at the projects. We have a review committee that looks at the projects, and we don't want to see someone who's, paying a lot more than they need to be paying. And how much is it going to offset? Do they have net metering? Is there a state credit going on at where they are? Are there other incentives? So we really we understand most of the states and what's going on, and we apply that into our underwriting.
Really, really cool. Well, Terri, thanks so much for coming on. In case anyone's listening, Terri is very busy, which we love, because it means there's so many people who are contacting her to use these products. I hope to see this company continue to. Well, you said what's the difference between company and co-op? I guess it's owned by the people,
By the people,
right?
yeah.
Right. So we
Yeah.
hope to see the venture continue to grow and grow. Thank you so much for taking some time to come on and share.
And please give us a call. You never know, you're probably going to talk to me or one of our great team members that we have here, and we'd love to talk to you or educate you as well.
Yeah. Anything else to add before my last question? It's always just the same, just advice for people.
I would say just do your homework. If you're looking at adding a clean energy project to your home, really go out there, do an energy audit on your house before you start, seeing if there's some ways you can reduce the cost before you go on and put something onto your home. So really do your homework, and then look where you're banking, and make it switch. It doesn't have to be with us. There's some other great financial institutions out there that are mission driven, and we hope to see more out there as well.
Absolutely. And then just a little bit more, any advice for young people who are passionate about building a better world and are kind of at the bottom of the corporate ladder, just like how you were when you first started in credit unions? Now you're CEO.
Yeah. Hey, we have openings. So if you ever want to come and really see what we're about, we do have some job openings. So we'd love to hear from you. We do have a lot of remote workers, and trying to keep our footprint as small as possible. But, you just gotta have to love what you do. And, that is one thing I've learned in my life is just, I go to work every day, and there's days I have just really crazy days. I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I? But at the end of the day, I love what I do, and I feel like I'm doing something good. And that's helpful, and it gets me through the next day.
Terri, you are doing something good. So thank you so much for your service. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And in regards to joining her team, shout out to Nicole. They have a lovely team. Everyone's really nice. It's a great community. If anyone's interested in getting involved with the credit union, highly recommended by Climate Change Realty. Terri, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much for inviting me today. I really appreciate it. And you have a fantastic weekend.
No worries. All right, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
So if you or anyone else you know is looking to buy or sell a home anywhere in the USA and would like to create thousands of dollars in donations without any cost out of pocket, please visit ccrboulder.com today.